Rome, the legend. The empire that gave us roads, laws, and this. No, not the big stadium. This, the public latrine. The original social media feed, but way, way smellier. Forget privacy. Romans did their business together. And see that thing in the middle? That's the terrasorium, the communal butt wiper. Yes, it's a sponge on a stick, and that was communal. Shared. Let that sink in. Or don't. Please don't. But hey, at least they didn't waste anything. Especially not pee. Yeah. See, urine was valuable. So valuable, the Emperor Vespasian put a tax on it. Your pee was literally government property. Why? Because ammonia, it was the ancient world's #1 laundry detergent. Your sparkling white toga? Yep, washed in pee. It was also used for teeth whitening. When Vespasian's son Titus said this was disgusting, Vespasian held a gold coin under his nose and said, "Pecunia non olet," or "money doesn't stink," which is a great motto, but I'm pretty sure his toga did, Your Highness. So this civilization of supposed geniuses and philosophers were just a bunch of people walking around in pee-washed clothes after sharing a toilet stick. But if you think their bathrooms were dramatic, wait till you see their dinner parties. You all heard of the vomitorium, right? That special room where they'd go to throw up so they could eat more? Yeah, that's a myth. Total lie. Your high school Latin teacher failed you. A vomitorium was just a name for the exit passageway in a stadium, where the crowd vomits out onto the street. But just because they didn't have a pook room doesn't mean they were grouse. No, oh no, their actual food was so much worse, and it involves rotten fish.
Okay, I'm back, and the smell is, wow. Right, meat garum, the ketchup of the Roman Empire. And what is this magical sauce, you ask? It's fermented fish guts. Yep. They'd take the intestines, blood, and heads of fish, layer them with salt, and just leave them in the sun for months. Yeah, until it all liquefied into this pungent, salty nightmare. And they loved it. It was more expensive than perfume. But fish gut sauce wasn't even the main course. Oh no! The super rich wanted to flex, and their flex was weird. They loved Trojan dishes. This is a Trojan pig, and why? Because just like the horse, it's full of a surprise. And it gets worse. A popular delicacy, dormice, fattened in special clay pots, parrot tongues, stuffed flamingos. These guys were the original awful food bloggers. It was all about conspicuous consumption. It wasn't about tasting good, it was about showing everyone else how much money you could literally waste. This drama was everywhere, even in their beauty standards. You think today's influencers are weird? That pale look, that's lead, white lead. They were literally poisoning themselves for that ghostly glow-up. And for flush, they used drag of red wine. So they basically just damned leftover booze on their face. Respect. But the weirdest beauty product? Gladiator sweat. Yup, rich women would buy bottles of gladiator sweat and grime as a face cream, an aphrodisiac. They were literally buying the old sweaty jog from athletes who were, by the way, mostly slaves. Speaking of gladiators, you probably think you know all about them from the movies, right? Are you not entertained?
Okay, let's clear this up. Most gladiator fights were not to the death. That's just bad business. These guys were expensive property. They were highly trained athletes. Think of them less as warriors and more like WWE superstars. They were slaves, yeah, but they were also celebrities. They had nicknames. They had fan clubs. They had merch. The fights were real, but they were shows. They had referees, they had rules, and often they'd stop the fight if it got too real. The famous thumbs down gesture? We're not even sure it meant kill. It might have meant put your weapon down. And, and get this, they weren't all muscle-bound heroes. Based on their bones, many gladiators were, kinda chunky. They had a high-carb diet, lots of barley and beans. They were called hardiarii, the barley men. That layer of fat, it protected their nerves and organs from cuts. It was all about the show. They even had ridiculous, over-the-top fantasy matchups. And sometimes they'd just flub the entire Colosseum for a nammakia, a full-on live-action pirate ship battle. Because why just have 2 guys fight when you can have 3,000 guys and actual ships try to sink each other? That's the Roman definition of extra. But here's the dark twist. The entertainment wasn't just gladiators. The opening act was public executions. They'd feed criminals and prisoners to wild animals. Damatio art bestias. It was the lunchtime show, the warm-up. Imagine going to a football game and the halftime show is just that. It's a level of casual cruelty that is just staggering. This was a society that built wonders and ate lunch, watching people get mauled. It's a contradiction. And if you think the public was dramatic and contradictory, you haven't met the management. Let's talk about the emperors, the original god kings, the guys who had absolute power and absolutely no chill.
Right, the emperors. Where to even start? Let's just pick one. Here's a stable, well-adjusted leader, Caligula. His name literally meant little boots because he wore a tiny soldier uniform as a kid. Adorable, right? This guy wasn't just bad. He built a 2-mile floating bridge across the Bay of Baiae just to prove a fortune teller wrong. He threw these insane, lavish parties, and sometimes, as a party trick, he just randomly ordered one of his guests to be executed. He declared himself a living god. Standard crazy dictator stuff, but then he took it a step further. He was so beloved that his own Praetorian Guard, his bodyguards, stabbed him 30 times. But the most famous Caligula story is his horse, Incitatus. Caligula loved this horse. He gave it a jewel-studded collar. He had servants attend to it. He'd have it invited to dinner. And then the grand finale. He allegedly planned to make his horse a consul. Now, historians debate this. They think Caligula didn't actually do it. He just threatened to do it. To show the senators were so useless, a horse could do their job. That's the ultimate power move. The ultimate I own you flex. Being so powerful, you can replace your government with livestock. And everyone knows you're right. And this was the system. An empire built on pea laundry, fish guts, gladiator sweat, and horse politicians. Well, about that. This entire massive continent-spanning empire, it broke. Even bling the barbarians. Angry stick figures and horn helmets running in and smashing everything. The fall of Rome wasn't an event. It was a process, a long, slow, spectacularly messy divorce from reality. Sure, the barbarians were at the gate, but the house was already on fire, and the Romans were the ones holding the matches.
So, how do you kill the biggest empire in the world? Turns out, you start from the inside. Problem number 1, the economy was a dumpster fire. To pay for all those wars, parties, and horse senators, the emperors just made more money. But they ran out of silver, so they just mixed in cheap junk. This is called inflation, and it got so bad that a loaf of bread that cost 1 denarius eventually cost 2 million denarii. Problem number 2, they were running on slave labor. When the empire stopped conquering, they ran out of new slaves. The whole economy just stopped. Problem number 3, the military. The army was so big, they couldn't afford to pay Roman soldiers. So who did they hire? Yep, they hired the exact same barbarians they were supposed to be fighting. They were paying Goths to fight Goths. This led to problem number 4, the barracks emperors. For about 50 years, there were 26 different emperors, and almost all of them were murdered. It was a revolving door of assassinations. The average reign was like 2 years. You'd be emperor just long enough to get a coin minted and then shank. This is not a stable government. This is a bad season of a reality TV show. And the final, weirdest nail in the coffin, some historians think it was lead. The rich Romans, the elite, the ones making all the decisions, were drinking water and wine from lead pipes and lead-lined pots. Now, this is a huge debate, but the theory is that the entire ruling class was slowly, generation after generation, going sterile and kind of nuts from lead poisoning. So you've got a useless economy, a mercenary army that hates you, a new emperor every Tuesday, and a ruling class that's been microwaving its brain with heavy metals. So when Alaric and the Goths finally showed up in 410 AD and sacked the city, it wasn't heroic last stand, it was just the end. The empire had rotted from the inside out. The barbarians just kicked in a door that was already off its hinges. And just like that, it was over. Western part, at least. Eastern part is a story for another day. Much more drama. We learned that civilization is a pretty thin veneer, and that humans are just weird. We love to look back at Rome as this grand, noble thing, these marble men of logic and law. But they were just people. Messy, dramatic, contradictory people. They were obsessed with celebrity. They ate ridiculous, expensive, status symbol food. Their politics was a chaotic reality show. They poisoned themselves with their own technology because it was convenient. And they valued money over, well, everything. Sound familiar? History doesn't repeat, but as Mark Twain said, it often rhymes, and Rome's rhyme is particularly sarcastic. The story of Rome isn't just about a dead empire. It's a 2,000-year-old warning label, and that is the Sidavi story. Thanks for digging into the past with me. Look, this channel is a journey. We're trying to piece together the world's most ridiculous stories. If you enjoyed this, or even if you just hate-watched it, the best way to support this channel is to just be part of it. Please don't forget, subscribe, like, and comment. Every like helps us fight the algorithm's barbarians. Every subscription adds another researcher to the team. And the comments, well, that's where the real history is. What did I miss? What insane story should we tell next? We're building a community here, not just the channel, so thank you genuinely for your time. It's the most valuable thing you have. Share this with one person who thinks they know history. Let's see if they knew about the toilet sponge. Okay, that's all for now. Stay curious and maybe wash your hands extra well, and don't forget to wash your face. Sidavi out.